This is purely a journalistic point of view. Nothing more has been said in this video other than that of which has been reported by various media sources and backed up with sources seen at the end of this video.
Hunter Hearst Helmsley has established a legacy as both a WWE superstar and a pivotal figure behind the scenes. However, in 1996 his career took a nosedive when his desire to bid farewell to his friends in the ring nearly cost him his career. Join us as Behind the Titantron looks at the curtain call, the infamous moment at the mecca of professional wrestling. Whilst 1995 was arguably the WWF's low point during the 90s, 1996 didn't start off well, especially when Vince McMahon learned that Diesel aka Kevin Nash and Razor Ramon aka Scott Hall were jumping ship to arch-rival WCW. The company was already losing the Monday Night War, and the loss of star power was going to hurt badly. Behind the scenes, it was a poignant time for the members of the Kliq: Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, Sean Waltman, Scott Hall and Hunter Hearst Helmsley. The five wrestlers had formed an unofficial alliance behind the scenes, consolidating political power and watching out for one another. With Shawn Michaels wearing the WWF Championship, the Kliq wielded considerable stroke, helping to get themselves over at the expense of others. The Kliq were also well known for playing games with wrestlers. More than one wrestler saw a promising career go down the tank if the Kliq grew jealous, as was the case with Shane Douglas, or simply felt like destroying someone on a whim, as happened to Chris Candido. The Kliq would become much hated, but as Kevin Nash commented in a 2014 interview, "We had 5 of us. I don't need more than 4 friends." According to a 2014 interview, the Kliq began discussing some sort of send-off for Hall and Nash in the ring as their departure grew near. In a 2014 interview, Shawn Michaels recalls, "It was talked about in Europe, then it was never talked about again. We had done a European tour, then we came back and had this last run. For us, not that we needed a reason to celebrate something, but everything was the last time we'll be doing this, the last time we'll be doing that." Then that night, as best as I can recall, it was Hunter coming up and going, "Hey, are we doing that thing we talked about?" I don't think anybody remembered it. Unfortunately for Hunter, it would not soon be forgotten. While the incident would generate tremendous controversy, Kevin Nash claims he had asked Vince McMahon and Pat Patterson for permission beforehand. According to Nash, both men had no problem with the send-off. However, that would change when the send-off generated a firestorm of controversy. On the 19th May 1996, Nash and Hall worked their last match in the WWF, competing at Madison Square Garden. Hunter Hearst Helmsley defeated Scott Hall and WWF champion Shawn Michaels defeated Diesel in a steel cage match. The sellout crowd was about to witness a rare break of kayfabe for the time. According to Graham Cawthon's book, Sacred Ground, 50 Years of the WWE at Madison Square Garden, Scott Hall tried to bid the fans farewell after his match, but his microphone was cut off. That should have served as a warning that not everyone was cool with the Kliq saying goodbye, especially when they were jumping to a company determined to put WWF out of business. After Shawn Michaels defeated Diesel with a super kick, the champion revived Diesel with a kiss right out of Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. Before long, Scott Hall and Triple H were in the ring, hugging one another, despite 2 of them being faces and 2 being heels. They climbed the corners of the cage, posed for the fans, and set the WWF on its ear. Not surprisingly, the Kliq's breach of kayfabe incensed wrestling traditionalists backstage. In a YouTube interview, Jim Cornette remembers, "When they did that curtain call thing, you know, I wasn't the only one mad. I was throwing my f***ing suit bag down the goddamn Madison Square Garden hallway. I assumed everybody knows what the curtain call is. I don't need to go into it. Jerry Briscoe was kicking walls. He wanted to fucking stretch all of them as soon as they came back. Everybody was fucking hot because they took a shit on Vince McMahon's dining room table, the guy who was paying them. The Madison Square Garden show was to his father and to him. At the time, the yardstick measured success in the business. And just because they had their little billionaire boys tree club, they had to go out and expose the business and have a fucking circle jerk." In James Dixon's Titan Shattered, Davey Boy Smith, who was not friend of the Kliq, reportedly said, "They just killed the fucking business." WWF wrestlers and officials were disgusted not only by the breach of kayfabe, but the fact it took place in the holiest of holies, Madison Square Garden. There was going to be hell to pay for the blatant disregard of kayfabe and the sacred commandment that wrestlers protect the work nature of the business. Although Vince McMahon approved the curtain call, the reaction from WWF superstars and officials forced him to take disciplinary action. McMahon feared a revolt if he didn't do something. Unfortunately, he was in a difficult position as Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were leaving the company. He had the option of withholding pay-per-view money from WrestleMania, but chose not to, not wanting to be perceived negatively. As for Shawn Michaels, he was WWF champion and already difficult enough to deal with. That left the burden on one man, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. According to the book Titan Shattered, Vince McMahon called Shawn Michaels and Triple H into his office after the In Your House Beware of the Dog pay-per-view and gave Hunter the bad news. McMahon told Helmsley point blank that he normally had to have fired Triple H. McMahon admitted he had given the Kliq permission for their send-off, but he had no idea of the backlash. McMahon told Helmsley he was going back to square one. Hunter's pal Michaels protested, but McMahon wasn't listening. Instead, he told Triple H, "If I don't do something about it, it's chaos. There's gotta be a punishment. If I don't show everyone that I'm serious, then I'll lose credibility. You're going to have to eat and like the taste of it. You're gonna have to learn to eat plates and plates and plates of You're not gonna like it." And eat it he did. After personally apologizing to everyone in the locker room and management, Hunter's real punishment began. As most fans know, Triple H went from the #1 spot to supposedly win the 1996 King of the Ring tournament to losing a lot of matches. While some analysts claim Triple H's punishment wasn't severe, this ignores the facts. First, Hunter was scheduled to work a world title program against Shawn Michaels that year. While there's no evidence that Helmsley was scheduled to win the WWF Championship that early on in his career, the fact that he was scheduled for a main event program suggests the WWF had big plans for him. Unfortunately, Triple H would not win the WWF Championship until the Raw after 1999 SummerSlam. Stone Cold Steve Austin benefited from Triple H's punishment, stating in a 2016 interview, "I'm glad about the curtain call now, but I remember being very confused watching it all go down because I was right there, behind the curtain watching it all, and I couldn't believe these guys were breaking kayfabe." Austin replaced Triple H as the winner of the 1996 King of the Ring, using his victory to build momentum into an eventual main event push. The curtain call could have seen the curtain fall right on Hunter Hearst Helmsley's career. Instead, he accepted his punishment and strove to make a name for himself. Helmsley's attitude won over his fellow wrestlers' respect. Hunter reportedly alienated people in the locker room with his bad attitude, including The Undertaker. That changed when Triple H took his punishment without complaining, winning the respect of his fellow wrestlers and WWF management. Over the next few years, Hunter would rise to the top of the WWF. While his association with Stephanie McMahon could not be overlooked, it's clear his talent and determination played a larger role in his success. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed that episode. It was a long time coming. Unfortunately, these behind the Titantron episodes are becoming harder to make with the recent controversy surrounding YouTube and its ad revenue. I already put up a message before explaining how we didn't want to go down the road of a Patreon, but this has now unfortunately become necessary, as it seems clear that YouTube does not deem wrestling to be advertiser friendly. Hence, wrestling content creators have been making a lot less money. I only want this to be temporary until YouTube has hopefully fixed itself, but we aren't sure when this is going to end. It has been difficult to do a video 5 days a week, but to be honest, I enjoy this so much, and as long as the support is there, one Behind the Titantron episode will be released every week and 4 top 10s, and we also want to take suggestions from you, the fans. We are only a team of 2 people, extremely small, but if you could help out in any way, please feel free to do so. To be honest, there aren't enough thank yous to those who have subscribed and supported the channel, and those select few who I always see immediately clicking on the daily video to support us. But thank you for your time, and I hope to see you back with some more wrestling content.